Imagine a world where looking at the stars wasn't just for astronomers, but for everyone. A world where your daily life was guided by the sun, your calendar by the moon, and your prayers by the precise coordinates of the heavens. This wasn't science fiction. This was the Islamic West in places like Morocco and Spain centuries ago. For them, the sky wasn't a philosophical puzzle. It was a practical guide. The 5 daily prayers are timed by the sun's journey across the sky. The beginning of each month in the Islamic calendar depends on spotting the new crescent moon. A practice Morocco became so famous for that its tradition is still honored today. Every single mosque, from the Grand Koutoubia in Marrakesh to the smallest village prayer hall, needed to know the exact direction of the Qibla towards Mecca. This constant need for celestial precision forced a change in thinking. The ancient Greek models, like Ptolemy's complex system of epicycles, were beautiful theories, but they were too abstract for the demands of daily faith. Worship required accuracy, and this demand for accuracy created a generation of brilliant astronomers. An astrolabe wasn't just a scholar's ornament. It was a tool of devotion, as essential as a prayer mat. What made this scientific explosion possible was a unique relationship between faith and reason. Unlike some scriptures, the Qur'an doesn't offer a detailed cosmology. It doesn't define the structure of the universe or lay out the laws of celestial mechanics. Instead, it points to the cosmos as reminders of a creator who exists beyond our physical world. This created a profound intellectual freedom. Since God exists outside the universe, studying the inner workings of nature could never threaten the divine. Discovering the age of a planet says nothing about the origin of God. Understanding the laws of motion doesn't expose the mechanics of divine will. No scientific discovery could contradict Scripture, because Scripture never claimed to be a science textbook. This openness allowed astronomers in cities like Fez, Marrakesh, Cordoba, and Toledo to challenge the giants of the past. They could freely question Ptolemy, revise his planetary tables, criticize Greek cosmology, and even propose entirely new models of the universe without fearing accusations of heresy. The sky wasn't a source of anxiety. It was an invitation to investigate, a puzzle God had made intelligible for humanity to solve. And solve it they did. In Toledo, Al-Zarqālī measured the motion of the sun with an accuracy that would not be surpassed in Europe for centuries. He also invented the universal astrolabe, a revolutionary device that could be used at any latitude. In Cordoba, the great philosopher Ibn Rushd, known in the West as Averroes, boldly argued that Ptolemy's epicycles were just mathematical tricks, not physical realities. His student Al-Biruni went even further, proposing a new, non-Ptolemaic model of the universe based on concentric spheres. Back in Morocco, in Fez and Marrakesh, scholars like Ibn al-Banan and Ibn al-Hayyan were recalculating the motions of the planets with groundbreaking precision. In their hands, the heavens became a living laboratory. Quietly, centuries before Copernicus, the first seeds of a sun-centered universe were being planted. For generations, this intellectual fire burned brightly, fueled by a tolerant legal tradition that allowed scholars of different faiths to teach and learn together at world-renowned institutions like Al-Qarawiyyin in Fez, the oldest continuously operating university in the world. But golden ages don't last forever. Slowly, things began to change. Interpretations of religious texts narrowed. Scholars became more cautious. Philosophy, once the queen of sciences, became a riskier pursuit. The golden age didn't end with a bang. It faded. Part of this shift can be traced to one of Islam's most influential thinkers, Al-Ghazali. It's a common misunderstanding that he was against science. He wasn't. He fully embraced the practical value of astronomy for prayer times and calendars. His real concern was what he saw as philosophical overreach. He worried about thinkers who used Greek cosmology to make definitive claims about God and creation that went beyond what Scripture taught. Al-Ghazali argued that the universe was not eternal, but created in time. He stated that the laws of nature were not independent machines, but expressions of God's continuous will. For him, cause and effect wasn't a mechanical necessity, but a habit of divine action. His critique was sharp, logical, and incredibly influential. But subtle ideas rarely stay subtle in the public square. Over time, Al-Ghazali's sophisticated caution was simplified into a general fear of philosophical inquiry. The space for open debate began to shrink. The intellectual horizons that had seemed so limitless started to close in. Al-Ghazali alone didn't extinguish the flame of scientific inquiry, but his powerful ideas aligned with other political and social forces that were already reshaping the world. Philosophy began to lose its patrons. Ambitious scholars turned towards careers in law and theology, where there was more safety, prestige, and funding. The big questions, the pursuit of understanding physical laws and the fundamental nature of reality, seemed less rewarding and, frankly, more dangerous. The courage to explore the deep metaphysical implications of science began to fade. Astronomy survived, but mostly in its practical, non-controversial form. People still needed to calculate prayer times, track the lunar calendar, and navigate by the stars. But the deeper questions, the kind of bold inquiries that Ibn Rushd had fought for, found fewer and fewer defenders. Eventually, Ibn Rushd himself was exiled, and his books were publicly burned in the squares of Marrakesh. The ultimate irony is that his works, and the works of so many others from this golden age, survived not in the libraries of Fez or Cordoba, but in Latin translations that ended up in Paris and Padua. The torch was passed. Of course, it wasn't just about ideas. The world was changing in brutal ways. The Mongol invasion destroyed the intellectual heart of the Islamic East when they sacked Baghdad in 1258. In the West, the Reconquista relentlessly pushed south, capturing key centers of learning like Cordoba and Toledo. Global trade routes shifted, powerful dynasties fell, and the wealthy patrons who funded science disappeared. Knowledge, once concentrated, became scattered. Europe inherited the very texts that Morocco and Al-Andalus had so brilliantly illuminated. The story of astronomy in the Islamic West is a powerful lesson. It shows us a civilization where faith and reason walked hand in hand, where devotion drove discovery, and where the sky was seen as an open book. But it also shows us how human societies can change, how fear can replace curiosity, how patronage can dry up, and how the space for inquiry can shrink. The stars in the sky never changed, but the civilization looking up at them grew cautious. This history reveals a dual truth. Religion can be a powerful engine for knowledge when it fosters wonder, observation, and intellectual openness. But it can also become a barrier when rigid authority narrows the scope of acceptable questions and fear stifles debate. The rise and fall of this scientific golden age shows us both what a civilization can achieve when the sky is open and everything it stands to lose when that sky begins to close. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past fascinating, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories about the hidden history of science.